agenda for next week's voting meeting. Prior to starting that, we do have a couple items.
Are those glasses new, Jeff? What? I'm looking at them like, hey, that's different.
Okay, so before we get into the agenda itself, we do have a couple presentations that we'd like to have before we get going here. So Matt Fitzsimmons is here from the high school and representing our guidance department district-wide to give us a little, there's a motion on here for the District 339 plan, so Matt's just going to give us a little synopsis on that.
Where should I stand, here?
Wherever you're from.
Okay, so, I know you probably didn't all that long, camping out. So, this is our 339 plan for this year, 48 pages. This started about, just to give the new members, or who haven't heard about the 339 plan, a little bit of information. This started almost 10 years ago where we started working on our 339 plan, and it was a state mandated comprehensive K through 12 guidance program. So we started this, like I said, almost a decade ago, going down to the NEIU, working on it, and eventually creating our first plan, and it was approved by the board in June of 2015. So every 5 years, you're supposed to renew it. A couple things happened there with COVID, the pandemic changes it. So we are here at this point. Part of the 339 plan is really to gear a lot on the career aspects, and when we were talking prior, how things have changed a lot over the years. When we first started this, the mentality was 4-year college, that's, it's all been ingrained in us for so long. And as we started to go through this, we started to realize, boy, that's not the only option for a lot of these students. So, of course, 4-year might be good, but trade schools, we talked before we came in about, 2-year degree for kids that's 21 and now making 60 grand a year as a welder. It really opened our eyes, and we started to realize not everybody just fits in that. Maybe they're not the best at bookwork, but boy, can they fix a car like that. That's the last thing that I can do. Okay, so we just continually, kind of learned a little bit. On a personal note, for my own son, he got accepted at all his schools last year, graduated March of April last year, comes to me and said, and my wife, and says, I don't want to go to college. So as a school counselor, that one kind of punched me in the stomach a little bit. And then, as a parent, you start thinking, but he came with a plan. He does YouTube. He makes money. He has sponsors. This is what he's doing. He didn't just come in and say, I don't want to go to college. When I told him Drexel, you can get into Drexel and your debt's going to be $250,000, $250,000 when you're done. He's like, yeah, Dad, I'm not doing that. So 339 maybe helped me in my own personal life a little bit. But with this plan, one of the things we do, we have advisory council meetings. So we have those every December and every May or June. Mr. Rowland, Mr. Hope, Mr. Gambito have been on our, Mr. Wood, they've all been on our 339 advisory. And what that has really done, it's really opened our eyes. That's teachers, students, parents, community members, secondary education, businesses. Really opened our eyes to all the options that are out there. Also made some great connections within the community. Tremendous support for our program. And so 339 has really grown for us, and it has really been beneficial. I'm not saying this is fun, putting this thing together, but it really has helped us a ton. So this past year, we worked on it right before, we were about 75% done last year, and the state kind of changed the format a little bit. So then we went back, COVID hit, then we came back this year, and I really want to say thank you for those half days on Friday, because we took all our counselors and narrowed it down to a smaller committee and just had like one from each school, and we were able to get so much done during those days to get a lot of this completed. So this has everything that we're doing from K through 12. So we start thinking of careers in kindergarten, and we're still moving right up through 12th grade and beyond. It has all the standards, it has everything we do, a mission statement. Like I said, it's a thick Bible at this point. And what we need right now is for everyone to approve it. That is fantastic, and we can then build on for the next one. We also were picked as one of the schools in the state for this fabulous 52, and we were one of two, not like in our Northeast NAIE 19, us and the CTC, to represent that. So we're part of that community too with our 339. So it's been really a labor of love, but it has been very beneficial to us, very beneficial I think to the students as well, hitting industry standards, really making us focus and think outside the box a little bit at times, and how we might be able to help kids from kindergarten through 12th grade. So, hoping for approval, and then go from there.
Yeah, I have to say, it's one of the funnest meetings. They have food, but it's one of the best and most productive meetings.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. When I got my letter the other day, I was a little disappointed, but it really is phenomenal. And do you remember that test you did last year for individuals?
Personalities?
It was a personality?
Yeah.
Because that was so fascinating, it really was.
Yeah, we try to mix it up a little bit.
And does everybody get all that test, the personality, all the way through?
Yeah, so
That
we
was really
try to
fun.
do that, different ages can do different things. This year we'd always been on career cruising, and I've heard of career cruising over the years, and that was beneficial to us, but now we're using Smart Futures, which also ties into the state and standards and everything that's documented, that kid moves and their information can go with them. So that's been new for us this year, but very, very beneficial as well. And that's elementary through high school.
2 years ago, some of those conversations, those meetings really opened my eyes to the ability not, or to get a good job without going to a four-year college. And it's really, I think I've talked to a lot of people about since then about that, and it seems to be, I really think it's met good, favorable opinions as far as options for people who may not want to go.
It's been eye-opening, very.
A lot of them make good money.
And I have to commend Matt and the entire guidance department for all their hard work and devotion to this plan, because quite honestly, they're recognized statewide, and they've used our model as a model for districts across the state. So they've done a tremendous job.
I remember, I think it was, I'll say 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I don't remember everything about it, but it was myself, my wife, and my son Nick, and we were at a table with people we didn't really know. And I just remember him going right out and speaking about things and voicing his opinion. And I remember on the way home, my wife and I going, well, we didn't know that was in it. Like, we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so that right there pulled something out of that you guys did with that program. So I'm all for it, I can tell you that.
Yeah, we miss our breakfasts. Those were good. But we do really enjoy it because I think it has been very beneficial to us and open our eyes, but also to the students. And as a counselor who does 11th and 12th graders, I'm getting them at the tail end, and I've always thought this way, that I never want to be the counselor that kind of tells a kid that they can't do something, because I never want them to come back. I'm always open for any kind of ideas, and this just reinforced it in a different way. So if you want to read it, everybody should have got a copy, but it's a lot of stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have that.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Brian Howard here from CM3, who we work with on several projects. Brian's here tonight to discuss the project that we're looking into as a result of the ESSER funds and us looking at projects that would qualify for those funds. We looked through some of the needs of the district, and this is one of the projects that we're looking to complete. So Ryan, you want to-
I Thanks, Matt. So nice to see everybody again. I'm Ryan with CM3. I'm a salesman for this account, and just wanted to give you a quick overview of what we were looking at from a building envelope standpoint for windows and doors. Good? There we go. Sorry? There we go. Okay, so we're looking at doing a combination of interior doors and exterior doors based on need and condition of each door, literally on a door-by-door basis. Entryways, as always, where we can make improvements, we're trying to make improvements. One good example is there are certain areas that have these triple doors that were original to the building, even original to prior to expansion in some cases. And they're not handicap accessible anymore, so there are 2 or 3 areas where we're completely removing a double doorway because it's no longer the main entry and exit. We don't have need for that vestibule. But we're looking at doing windows and doors in the high school and exterior doors only at R.D. Wilson.
So the issue with some of those steel doors is that the closers on them have worn out so much that you can't replace them. So the doors, they're super heavy, so when you open them, they'll slam back down, and you hear it echo through the halls. You know, somebody gets their finger caught, and there's going to be some damage done there. But and as Ryan said, they are original to the building. Weather stripping is gone. You know, snow comes in through them, so it's.
Those closures, very up to 20,000. How many years older the door closers?
I believe the originals was 1971.
They're only supposed to last about 20 years, just so everybody knows. So they got to.
So we'll start with the easy one. The window replacement is pretty straightforward. All the windows in the high school are the same. We are going to get a better window going in place. If you notice, there's the way those concrete panels come in, they kind of come in at an angle. So it's tough to get a good flush fit. We've found a trim kit that goes around. And the window replacement is pretty straightforward. We know that's getting done this summer. I'm going to talk about schedule as we go through here based on material lead time. There may be some unanticipated delay in the interior doors, and we're prepared for that.
Right, those windows, it's replacing every window?
In the high school.
So many of those windows have sills that have rotted.
We went out, that day we went out there and they reached underneath and pulled. I mean, you're pulling stuff right out from underneath the window.
Is it gonna be the big windows too that are through like where the cafeteria is, the ones that are like, they have like a courtyard in the middle, or just those?
Just the exterior.
Okay,
Yeah, primarily classroom windows.
okay.
High school interior doors are in varied shape, but they've lasted a really long time. And there's, as you walk down the hallways, there's no question that some of them are showing their age. You know, I mean, just normal wear and tear stuff. But I mean, from 1971, in the case of all the high school doors that we're looking to replace on the interior side. So we're removing the doors, painting the frames, and getting the new doors put in. The plan is, our objective is to get it done before the start of the school year. One of the challenges, both on the window side and on the door side, is with where construction costs are and material costs. There are more caveats than I'm used to standing in front of a board in a normal planning process to say, okay, you know, we'll propose, we'll work on the pricing 2 months ago. Last month we presented to the committee, and you know, at the board meeting, we get approved, we go to contract, we get subcontracts out. In that normal lead time frame, there's already anticipated increases in price. So we've locked in the price for the windows. We went ahead and did that. Not in any formal contractual capacity, but they asked us to identify the projects that we have in the pipeline so that we can reserve the pricing for the windows. The doors, we're anticipating a potential challenge on the lead time.
Brian, before you go to the next slide, if I may interrupt, if you look at the door handles on the right, those I don't know if they're called DD handles or whatever they call. Several years ago, we had a safety and risk assessment done by the state police, and that was a big concern from them because, you know, anybody could just walk by and slide something in and lock people in the gym or the auditorium, et cetera. So that, you know, that was part of the impetus for moving ahead, you know, with this recommendation. And the same thing with the classroom doors. You can only lock them from the outside, so that if teachers have to go into a lockdown, they physically have to go into the hallway, get their key out, play with it, and some of those locks aren't good. The other concern, part of the windows there, currently now that the teachers have, you know, they'll put construction paper or cardboard over it to block, so in case we, again, if we have to go into a lockdown, that, you know, we can see again.
Yeah, so and in most of the cases, I'd say, based on my survey, about 2/3 of the little windows in each door are already papered over, just because it gets distracting with people walking past, so.
And the louvers down below are easily kicked in, and a lot of them are damaged, et cetera, so that you can see, I mean, I'm sure.
They're easily damaged and they're kind of tricky to replace, so what ends up happening is you have to rake something in the space to go back and cover up damaged louvers, so we're going back with a solid door there.
Are the doors going to have anything in there so that if there is ever potentially a lockdown situation, that it's not just a lock on the door, it's an actual like barricade type thing?
Fire code currently doesn't recommend putting anything to barricade the door. There are some devices out there that we've looked into that would require you know, drilling into the floor, altering the frame. So there really hasn't been a good solution that we found at the moment, more so than, I guess statistics show that if somebody approaches a locked door, they move to the next one. They typically don't stay, or if they can see in, you know, they'll try to break in through that window. So we typically just move to the next door to find access.
We talked about the safety, you know, the whole issue of safety within the schools and taking a look at the doors and the fixtures on those. So do we have something going where this is going to be an upgrade from what we have both exterior and interior?
So,
Yeah, as is always the case, where we can make improvements without going to extreme cost, we try to make those considerations and make upgrades where we can. You're going to see that on some of the exterior doors.
Just chemo frames, Jeff, that's a good deal. Just, that's one of the ways to save on this. And as you said, the time we have frames are good, they can be repainted, but
There's nothing wrong with them physically.
No, no, they're still in pretty good shape. I mean, most of the chips are in the paint, and it's only on the doors that get heavy car traffic primarily, that you can see down on the left picture at the bottom. So on the exterior doors, there is an opportunity for energy savings in terms of weather stripping and the Astrogold strip that's in between the doors. The image on the right is just showing your heat loss and kind of where you are with some of those. But every exterior door is getting weather stripping, door seals, caulking, closers, and hinges addressed. There are a lot of those aluminum and glass doors that have, you know, the doors themselves are in good shape. They need to be recaulked. They need new closers. Some of the stuff is wearing out, particularly the ones that get heavy use around the gym and on the high school entrance side. So, but For the most part, most of the exterior doors at the high school are getting reused. And at Wilson, those exterior doors are in worse shape in terms of hinges. There's going to, we're basically looking at replacing all the hinges. Some of the fixes that have taken place over the years need to be addressed, so while we have the opportunity, we're going to try to make those improvements. Same deal there, weather stripping door seals, caulking closers, and hinges.
Those doors will be replaced down the back end. I believe those are the ones that we only was at part B.
Correct, yeah, there's one set of doors that that are really rough shape, and the finish is coming off and everything else, and by the time we did everything else, it was worth doing the replacement, the ones on the left. So, so included information on pricing by measure and by school as to where we're coming in, and it's all fallen within the ESSER guidelines, so we're presenting a funded project essentially. And just to give you an idea of that time frame, the exterior doors at Wilson, the exterior doors at the high school, and the windows all have a very reasonable expectation to get completed before school starts. If we run into the anticipated delivery time frame challenge with the interior doors at the high school, and I forget the total count that we're at, it's over 100 doors. If we run into a delivery time frame, we're prepared to do that work second shift, do it over breaks, try to make sure that we get it taken care of with the rule that there is no disruption to school in the process. So hopefully that won't be an issue, but we don't, I don't want to set the wrong expectation in terms of timing. And then once again, we presented the opportunity to local contractors. The proposal that you have includes using Diamond Door out of Waymart and Scranton Glass. They came in the most competitive. Reference-wise, they check out great, and always happy to keep the local tax dollars with local vendors as much as possible. So, and as always, the pricing that we presented is a no change order situation. So anything that comes up, it's on us. There's not going to be any surprises with that. And any questions?
All this work is done covered with the grant. Nothing out of our pocket.
A little better than last time, I think. Okay.
Ryan, thank you very much. Appreciate it. If anything comes up, if you guys do have any questions, if you could just give me a call, or reach out to Ryan. We'll respond.
What's the total price of that?
There's a line item on the check.
Oh, okay.
577?
Everyone came up with something, or was it?
577?